Network Entertainment.
Anong gagawin sa Bataan Nuclear Power Plant? What happened in 1985, natapos na siya, the fuel was already delivered, nasa labas na ng planta. Pasok na lang. Sinek siya ng IAEA twice. It was actually tested running without the fuel. But then two things happened, unfortunate things. Now, the Chernobyl accident, akala ng mga advisors ni Cory, na karamihan ng abogado, sina Tanyada, Joker Arroyo, Pimentel, Sagisag, ay naku, baka magka-aksidente, huwag na. Hintuin na lang yung planta. Yan. A nuclear power plant has two live-in regulators like in the US, 94 plants sa kanila. Dalawang nakatira doon. Kung may problema, pinapahinto ang planta. Ang coal plant walang ganyan. Gas plant walang ganyan. Geothermal walang ganyan. Nuclear lang meron. I did radon gas studies. I did seismic studies. Namatay na nga yung kasama namin. And then I did resistivity studies. All three studies show no fault. The plant is built on the lahar flows from Mount Nativ. But is the Nativ volcano active or not? We instrumented the volcano. So we put seismic sensors around it to see if there are seismic activities beneath the plant for more than 1 year. We're publishing the paper now, zero seismic activity, so that volcano is dead. The safety will be guaranteed by an independent regulator who should stand up to the government saying, unsafe ito, stop. Safety lang yung kanilang duty. That's the importance of the Philatom Law. I will not advocate nuclear power unless the independent regulators are appointed.
Welcome to Behind the Science podcast. New episode every Thursday at 7 p.m.
Magandang araw mga kapwa-siyentista at welcome sa isa na namang episode ng Behind the Science podcast. Ako si Paul Flores, ang inyong host, and our guest is a distinguished geologist and leader with a doctorate in geotechnical engineering and geosciences from the University of Illinois at Chicago. He previously served as the director of both the Philippine Nuclear Research Institute and the National Institute of Geological Sciences, where he led groundbreaking projects in nuclear medicine, mining, and environmental applications. He has been a key figure in national disaster mitigation programs like Project NOAA and the development of innovative solutions such as the first garbage-fueled electric power plant. He has been a strong advocate for the peaceful use of atomic energy in the Philippines, playing crucial role in the passage of the Philatom Law and its implementing rules and regulations. He was also recognized among the top 100 scientists in Asia. So without further ado, let's all welcome Dr. Carlo Arcilla.
Good morning to my co-clients and to everyone else. Be happy to join me here.
So welcome po sa podcast, Doc Kaloy. At konting backstory lang sa audience natin. I mentioned earlier na naging director si Doc Kaloy ng UP Nigs. And at that time, college student ako. Naging professor ko din si Doc Kaloy. Di ko alam kung natatandaan niya ako sa optical mineralogy and ore deposits. Malaking class siya eh. So I think hindi na ako natandaan ni sir.
Anyway, very good. I apologize for any harm.
Wife ko sir, student assistant nyo before yung wife ko.
Sino?
Si Jamela Clemente.
Si Jam. Okay. Say hello to her.
Yes po. Ang topic natin today, so as the title ng video, is the Philippines ready for nuclear energy? And sino pa ba yung best person to discuss this? Walang iba kundi si Doc Kaloy, director ng PNRI. And the usual, before natin yung pag-usapan, kilalanin muna natin si yung former director. And also recently retired na rin si sir. So before natin yung pag-usapan, kilalanin muna natin si Doc Kaloy and yung naging journey niya as a scientist. So sir, can you share din po sa audience natin yung kabataan nyo na bakit kayo nag-decide maging isang geologist, maging scientist?
Okay, first I have to thank and I'm very grateful because I studied at Philippine Science High School. I'm from Vira Catanduanes, a very small town, typhoon-ravaged town. Okay, my elder sister went to Pisay and then I took the exam and passed. At that time, isang campus lang, there were only 200. But Pisay really opened my eyes to the things. Although I have to really acknowledge also my dad. My dad is an engineer. He was a founding dean of the College of Engineering at the Catanduanes State University, and then my mom is high school principal. So, there were books at home, and so the curiosity was already there. But Pisay opened my eyes. Now, I was very good in biology at Pisay, and I wanted to study medicine. But I talked to my dad, can you push me to medicine? Sabi niya, di ba kayo magkakapatid? Mahal ang medicine. Okay. And then a scholarship in geology was offered by the Bureau of Mines. I had no idea what geology was. It was free education, so I took it. And then lo and behold, my professor, one of the first professors was Dr. Raimundo Punongbayan. And oh my God, and that was it. So, I was just hooked into geology. And Dr. Punongbayan was my mentor and friend. And after that, I taught in UP. But actually, I worked professionally. I worked in a mine, in Atlas Mining in Cebu for about almost 4 years. So that gave me an idea of what the industry is like and the industry discipline that is required.
Nung time niyo, sir, ilang geology students kayo?
Actually, medyo marami kami. We were about maybe at least mga 30 to 40. But in our batch, 3 kaming cum laude. So it was pretty good. Di ngayon naman napakarami ng mga laude na parang abuso na. Anyway.
Parang kalahati.
Yun isang daang
Parang kalahati.
Dalawang daang suma, kalokohan na yun Parang hindi na... Anyway, so yun. But it was, it was a very good batch. Fortunately, I was invited to teach at kasi I had a service requirement to the Mines and Geosciences Bureau kasi na scholarship ako doon But then nakiusap si UP if I will teach. And so I taught in UP for about 2.5, 3 years before I went to to work for Atlas Mining. So kaya ako naging estudyante si Ando. Kasi when I graduated, I was age 19 and he was a senior. So naging estudyante ko siya. He was my student in one of the laboratory classes.
Ano pa yung subject na tinuro niyo that time na naging student niyo si Sir Ando?
I think, yan lang I forgot what it was. Maybe it was 150. It was petrography. Actually, almost everybody at NICS now, isang subject na. Kasi I was only ahead by a year or a semester or a half, something ganun. And at the time, walang mga instructor. So I was like an instructor for, I think it was optica, petrography. I think something like that.
Then yung pag-pursue niyo po nung graduate school sa US, paano naman po nag-open up yung opportunity na yun sa inyo?
Okay. It's like this. Ganito, actually, during my time in UP entered a program with the Germans to upgrade its facilities. It was a German UP German project. I was supposed to be there, but then quite a number of faculty, I think including Andong was there, si Alisa, lahat, so they were trained by the Germans. And some of them got their masters with the German professors who were in UP. But I left. I left because I'm a member of Opus Dei, and then there's a center of Opus Dei in Cebu that opened up that needed staff. So I went there to help. So when I was in Cebu, I applied for a job and got accepted at Atlas Mining, which was one of the world's biggest mines at the time. They had 3 open pit mines, one underground gold mine. And then I was assigned to the petrography section. So very happy because there were many rocks. And then while in Cebu, I applied for a Fulbright scholarship from the industry and got accepted as a Fulbright. It is very competitive at the time. There were about 2,000 applicants and there were only 20. I was the only geologist. So that's where I got the opportunity to study in the US. And even in the US, I could have gotten into schools that are like Colorado School of Mine, but I chose a school, University of Illinois, Chicago, because there was a center of Opus Dei close to it that I wanted to be close to. But it was a very good choice because I got trained in material science before it was called material science and material science and petrology. So it's very good experience. And then I was tutoring Black and Hispanic kids. So it was not only a science training, but I had a very in-depth experience of the true American life in the city, even the difficulties and the good things. So I like America. And then I met there one of my favorite high school idols, the famous jazz pianist Bong Peñera. Because I play jazz guitar. And then Bong Peñera was the biggest name. Pero namatay yung jazz, but I met him in Chicago and we became friends. And he was there 40 years and he just came back. So he's now here. So I'm trying to see if I can play with him again. So
Ay, sa audience natin, no, si Doc Kalay pala, no, meron silang banda sa Nigs na tumutugtog lagi tuwing Lantern Parade and kapag may event dun sa Nigs. Ano nga tawag,
Yeah.
sir, sa band niyo?
actually, it's called the Unconformity Band. Ang founder niya, actually myself, pero ang main driver na ngayon si Dr. Mario Aurelio who plays the drums. And we had a geologist who died, si Ray Flores, who was my batchmate. That is the original Unconformity Band now, but they're young students. Ang gagaling nila. They're really, oh my God, they're good. They're very good. I like to play them. I play guitar and piano.
As yung mga students, sila yung mga kumakanta and tumutugtog din ng ibang instruments.
kasi ang
So
gagaling
kung
nila
may UP students dito na nakikinig, pakinggan nyo sila pag may event sa Nigs.
Actually, yung di ba may singing contest yan palagi sa CS eh. Palaging links na nanalo. Eh, magaling mag-hunt ng talent itong si Mario, si Dr. Aurelio. So,
Nung pagkabalik nyo, sir, from US sa UP, ano po yung mga subjects na mga tinuro nyo? And at that time, ano yung mga unang research projects na ginawa nyo?
actually ganito eh. I was already teaching in the US. No, I was teaching in a small university called Northeastern Illinois University, but my mother got sick. I had no contracts with any school because Fulbright. I mean, I wasn't sent there by UP. No, I applied on my own in the private sector. But when my mother got sick, since I'm unmarried, and so I came back, I gave up my career in the US, and then of course I applied to UP. And thankfully, they accepted me. So then when I came in, pa-retire na rin si Dr. Teddy Santos. So I had to take over mineralogy, which is really one of my expertise, mineralogy. And then, when I arrived, paalis si Dr. Carla Di Malanta to finish her PhD in Tokyo. So no one was left to teach geophysics. They forced me to teach geophysics. Can you imagine? So but I'm very happy that I taught geophysics because I learned a lot, So,
pero wala yun sa kahit anong training niya sa masters and PhD, sir, never kayo nagkaroon ng geophysics na class?
No, I had geophysics, if I'm not mistaken, there, and then I had, I did have geophysics, and but it was kind of a different geophysics. Kasi ang geophysics na naka-orient sa akin, exploration geophysics, the geophysics there was like Earth's interior, yung ganong, big. But we had seismologists. I mean, and in at Chicago at that time, there were some very good seismologists. Northwestern, not in my school, but like in some neighboring universities that I would attend lectures to. Actually, I was very happy I taught that course because I learned more than the students. And then I've used it. Actually. I mean, in many of my future work, for example, I was able to buy eventually a transient electromagnetics machine that we were using. And I'm able to use that when they were doing exploration work. So my first research were related to mining. Kasi I was from the mining industry. Process mineralogy. Okay, so that was, and then I had years of experience and we helped mining companies. And then actually in the beginning, we were the pioneers when the nickel mining came in, the study of that. and we are drilling, and then very happy because kasi ang muna ko talaga, I wanted to put up an X-ray XRD lab. The XRD lab in UP when I arrived was not working. When I arrived in UP, practically no equipment were working. Sira lahat. So kawawa naman yung mga ano. And I'm proud that when I became director, I was able to build, not me, but I did fundraising and encourage. So a lot of the equipment were put up. The XRD that we did put up, 20 years now. Okay? Tapos may ICP-MS, and then we have some very, and then, anong tawag nito, many vehicles, because I have contacts with the industry, so I could ask money from them. So, ganun. So by that time, well, I was director for like 9 years. So we were able to acquire substantial equipment, which allowed us to have graduate student researchers. So that was the exciting part. I even got involved, as I said, in Payatas. Kasi nasusunog yung Payatas dati eh. Parang yung sa Navotas ngayon. And so we had to, I had a friend in environmental engineering. We helped them, we drilled, and we discovered that, there was methane coming through. And so they studied the possibility of having a methane from a garbage dump to power a power plant. And I saw a similar plant in Illinois. So natayo nila, we helped with that. Tapos umandar, 1 megawatt. Pero nung umandar na marami nang umangkin. So sabi nga nila, success has many fathers, failure is an orphan. But they cannot take away the work that we did there. So,
Ay, since nabanggit nyo yan, sir, curious ako. So, ibig sabihin ba niyan, yung mga dump sites, pwede siyang gawing electric power plant? So, i-harness mo yung mga methane na yan?
Yes, actually, pwede. Ang gagawin, the first thing that you need to do is basically, kasi, okay, this is the thing I learned. Kasi ganito eh, a big portion of our waste, our municipal waste, our organic waste, mga kitchen waste, yan, karamihan. And that one will decompose and produce the methane. But also a big part are plastics. Kaya importanteng ihiwalay yung mga non-organics organics. But when you have an organic dominated waste, you have to seal it, and then the bacteria do the job, and then they'll generate the methane. Okay, and then the methane can be quite a lot, and then in the U.S. In Illinois, when I first saw it, nakita ko yung garbage dump nila, ang ganda ng pagkakatapos well paved, and then may mga gas collectors, and the gas collectors went to a plant, and the gas powered a jet engine. Yun yung fuel sa jet engine, and the jet engine rotated the generator. So the guys there told me, sabi niya, I feel safe riding an airplane because the jet engine with the methane does not stop. Walang tigil. So kaya ako pag sumasakay sa aeroplano habang umanda ang machines, okay lang po. I feel safe because talagang napaka-reliable ng jet engines. Hindi jet engine ang nilagay dyan sa Payatas kasi kulang yung output. But what I'm saying is that we demonstrate, I don't know what happened now I have to visit it. Pero yan ang pwedeng gawin ang isang pwedeng gawin din actually, of course, is incineration. Pinagbawal ng Clean Air Act, which is a stupid thing. Clean Air Act, pero ang nangyari, pinagbawal incineration, which is, you can do it cleanly, which is being done in Japan and many other countries. So, marireduce yung waste mo.
Sir, parang nakita ko yan. May processing muna bago mo i-release yung gas. May additional processing.
Sweden, lahat yan. Sa atin pinagbawal. Basta nga yung ihaw, bawal yung magsusunog ka ng unbelievable, no? Anyway, ayoko na. Mahapak pa tayo. Pero, kasi yung problema kasi the advisors at the time, hindi talaga mga scientists. Ang advisor niya, isang doktor doon. Hindi ko nakatang kung sino But that's really, tayo may problema ngayon. We could use that, we could have incinerators and then make energy from it. Ngayon, they call it a different name, but it's, but this is what I'm saying. Gagawa ng mga laws na hindi maganda ang advice, ang science advice. And tayo pang napapahamak. Kasi, pag wala kang incineration, ang choice mo landfill, wala kang lupa, saan mo ilalagay? Kaya sa nabotas tinatapat na lang ng ganyan. So, yun. Anyway, ba't ibang usapin yan?
Oo nga, sir. Ayun, so, medyo madami na tayong na-discuss, lalo na dun sa basura and possibly turning them to energy. No? Ngayon, punta naman natin nuclear energy. So, sir, since naging director kayo ng PNRI, can you share sa audience natin, bakit ba kailangan ng nuclear energy? Why do we need to transition to nuclear?
Ang unang tanong sa akin, paano ka naging nuclear na geologist ka naman? Diba? Okay. Now, the good thing is that when I was doing my master's and PhD, I studied with one of the world's best mineralogists, Steve Guggenheim. And he's an XRD expert, clay expert. And one of his studies was nuclear waste disposal, low level, in Illinois. Okay? And so I've been doing that study for decades already. Okay? Kasi nuclear, the radioisotopes, especially the some downflow ones, will last for 10,000 years. So you have to isolate it from human activity. And the only way you can do that is geologic disposal, deep burial. How deep? You must bury it at least 500 meters. And the basis for the 500 meters is there's a very rich uranium deposit in Canada called Cigar Lake. They cannot detect the deposit from the surface. So ibig sabihin, geochemically isolated na siya. But then they put in an additional engineered barrier, which is bentonite. Bentonite is a clay mineral, layered structure, but the layers are negatively charged. So, pag tumakas yung radionuclide mo in the groundwater, it will be caught in the layers that are positively charged, negatively charged, and then trap yan forever. Okay? So that is the basic principle in geologic disposal of nuclear waste. And we know the technology for decades. Now, I know that because I've been doing research with Japanese guys. Japanese guys were coming to the Philippines. I have a farm in Tarlac with the bentonite and then the water. Anyway, so I knew this. And then ang nangyari, nagpag-retire ko when I finished my 9-year term. 3 terms lang kasi actually 2 lang eh. Halos naging 3 terms ako ng director ng NICS. Nagbukas naman ngayon yung directorship ng PNRI kasi yung director doon, ini-extend na palagi, halos 70 anyos na. Hindi na pwede yun. Kasi 65 dapat. So binuksan nila yung directorship. So, sabi sa akin, mag-apply ka lang. Sabi, hindi ko interested kasi in admin. So anyway, I just applied. And I was chosen. Oh my God. And then so suddenly I was in charge of a big organization. But the great thing about this, I learned so many things there. It's not just nuclear power. The first thing is PNRI is not involved in nuclear energy, even at the time. Karamihan ng research nila is nuclear technology in peaceful applications. Okay, number 1, agriculture. We develop products there from Carrageenan that produce rice 20% more. Ang galing actually. And then we do nuclear medicine, research in nuclear medicine. Plastics, for example. Did you know that the Philippines is one of the biggest polluters of plastics? Kasi lahat ginagawang sachet, di ba? Ketchup, shampoo, tapos pagkagamit tapon. Ngayon, when you recycle them, there's an inherent bonding difficulty. Kaya hindi siya maganda, yung products hindi maganda. But when you apply radiation to these plastics, you can manipulate the bonds and you produce stronger bonds. We have produced construction material, blocks of plastic that are stronger than concrete. Nagpagawa kami ng bahay made of plastic, katabi yan, nandun sa PNRI, kung gusto nyo bisitahin. Ang cool talaga niya. Plastic siya. So yun. But then of course, nuclear power. I mean, I will study that because we have reactor. So yung mga kababayan na takot sa nuclear, we have an active reactor since the 60s. Kasi may trigger reactor tayo donated by the Americans. Okay. Why do we need a reactor to study neutron flow? Because at the heart of nuclear is neutrons. Because it's neutrons are the ones that cause fission. So if you don't understand neutrons, you don't understand nuclear. So you have to have a research reactor powered by a trigger fuel. Donated yan ng Americans. We had some fantastic scientists. They did a lot of research. Tawag dyan, creating new plant varieties, sometimes also treating like especially sa iodine, sa thyroid cancer, etc. So ang dami talagang researches na ginagawa. Now, tapos of course, then that's the elephant question. Anong gagawin sa Bataan Nuclear Power Plant? Diba? Kasi yung BNPP yan was constructed while I was in Daya. We were in college. It was finished kasi I graduated in 81. Natapos na yan eh. Tapos, ginagawa pala. And then what happened in 1985, natapos na siya. The fuel was already delivered. Nasa labas na ng planta. Pasok na lang. Sinek siya ng IAEA twice. It was actually tested running without the fuel. But then two things happened, unfortunate things. First, nagkaroon ka ng election, natalo si Marcos ni Cory. And pangalawa, nagkaroon ka ng Chernobyl accident. Now the Chernobyl accident, akala ng mga advisors ni Cory, na karamihan ng abogado, si Tanyada, Joker Arroyo, Pimentel, Sagisag, ay naku, baka magka-aksidente, huwag na, hintuin na lang yung plantang yan. What they didn't know is that the Soviet design is very different from the Western design. And let me just explain one simple thing. Kasi ganito yan eh. 90% of most of the reactors in the world are water-based reactors. They're either boiling water reactor like in Japan, Fukushima, or pressurized water reactor like the BNPP. Okay? Water serves as the coolant and also the neutron moderator. Yan ang protection niya. Ang problema lang pag naubos yung tubig mo, baka magkaroon ka ng meltdown. And that's what happened in Fukushima because in Fukushima, there was an explosion. But the explosion was not caused by nuclear. Okay, let me explain Fukushima kasi nasa Japan ka ngayon. Siguro ko alam mo to, alam mo rin yung earthquakes. Pero sa mga kababayan natin, hindi nakikinig, no? What happened in Fukushima? You had a magnitude 9 earthquake. The epicenter was in the seafloor. Okay? The nuclear plants in Japan were not destroyed by the earthquake because they were designed for earthquake. The Fukushima plant is the oldest nuclear reactor in Japan. It's actually older, it is older. Yung ating planta, BNPP, is much younger than that. The seismic rating of Fukushima is 0.17, whereas BNPP is 0.4. Okay, earthquake. Hindi nasira yung planta, but then they inserted the control rods to stop the fission. Pero mainit pa yung pressure vessel, so kailangan palamigin. So they have to run water through it. The water has to be driven by diesel generators. Eh si Japan, nilagay yung diesel generator sa basement para makatipid. Nag-tsunami ka. The tsunami flooded the basement. So killed the diesel generators. No more cooling. Meltdown. Okay? And then with the water there and the zirconium clads, you had hydrolysis, which produced hydrogen gas. Eh dahil nakakulob yan, may construct accumulation hydrogen gas, one spark, boom. So kinalat pa. Okay. Now, why will that not happen in the Philippines? Number one, okay, yung elevation ng BNPP is 18 meters above sea level, higher than the tsunami. Then of course, isisiguro mo yung diesel, hindi mo na uulitin yan. All the 400 nuclear plants in the world did a Fukushima stress test. Okay. Ano ba kakaiba yan sa Chernobyl? Sa Chernobyl kasi, RBMK design yung kanila. hindi water moderated, graphite moderated. Tapos, they did not put a yung tawag yan yung containment structure. Pag pumunta ka sa PNRI, nakita niyo yung itlog. There's a structure there. That is supposed to prevent pag may accident ka, the materials are only inside. Limited. Sa Soviet Union, hindi nila ginawa yun. Hindi na kailangan. Kaya ang tawag ko diyan, communist design. They share everything, including disasters. So nung nag-experiment sila doon sa Chernobyl, ayun, nung pagsabog niya, boom, walang containment. Kaya kumalat. And here's the worst part. Kaya, I really don't like this communists. Theoretical lang. Nung sumabog sila, they should have warned the population. Kiev was part of the Soviet Union. Nasa Ukraine yan. Malapit lang. Hindi sila winarningan. Mabuti yung hangin was going to Siberia. It crosses Siberia and then turned off the alarms in Sweden. What I'm saying is, ganyan ka-irresponsable ang gobyerno pag hindi independent yung regulator. That's why I'm sure tatanungin sa Pilipinas, safe ba yung nuclear? The safety will be guaranteed by an independent regulator who should stand up to the government saying, unsafe ito, stop. Safety lang yung kanilang duty. Okay? Ay, naku, magkakaroon brownout, we don't care, stop. Kasi nuclear ang pinag-uusapan. That's the importance of the PhilAtom law na mag-create ka. At saka sa Japan, they learned from Fukushima kasi medyo chami-chami yung regulator at saka yung TEPCO yung Electric Power Company. So nilagay ngayon yung regulator ng Japan under the Ministry of, I think, Environment na under METI. Napakahigpit sa Japan ng regulation. Lahat ng proceedings nila live stream. Kasi talagang napuruhan sila. Ganyan din ang gagawin sa Pilipinas. Ibig sabihin, maybe not live streaming, but the independence of the nuclear regulator is extremely important. Kung walang independent regulator, wag na tayong mag-nuclear kasi you cannot guarantee the safety. Okay? A nuclear power plant has 2 live-in regulators like in the US, 94 plants sa kanila. 2 nakatira doon. Kung may problema, pinapahinto ang planta. Ang coal plant walang ganyan. Gas plant walang ganyan. Geothermal walang ganyan. Nuclear lang meron. O yun po. Anyway, these are just some of the aspects that I'm discussing because kinakabahan yung mga tao pag sinasabi kasi ng nuclear, bahambaga ang nasa isip. Okay, what people don't know, there are 400 plus nuclear reactors now, 94 in America. In Japan, 50 plus. Hininto yung lahat ng reactors sa Japan after Fukushima. Pero sobrang nagmahal ng kuryente kasi gas na lang sila. Ngayon, they're restarting it kasi they've evaluated the safety. At saka sobrang mahal ng kuryente. Sa atin, ang mahal-mahal ng kuryente, may nuclear plant tayo na pwedeng paganahin, ayaw pa rin paganahin. The South Korea, actually interesting yan. Talking about the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. When the Bataan Nuclear Plant was constructed in the 80s, 4 plants were made. Bataan Nuclear Plant, the Crisco Plant in Slovenia, Angra in Brazil, and then Pori 2 in South Korea. Exact models. Westinghouse, PWR 628 megawatts. When of the 4 plants, the 3 are running very, very well. Slovenia has 10% the cost of our electricity. 10%. South Korea now has 26 reactors. The Pori 2 is being relicensed for another 20 years. Sabi ni South Korea, we can restart your plant because we have a working model. They did a feasibility study. Sinabmit sa DOE. Hindi pinapakita kahit na kanino. Tapos meron pa uli sila, feasibility a few months ago. Tapos ayaw pa rin buksan. Yun nga nakakainis eh. Now, again, sa mga kababayan natin napunta po ako doon. I went to Pori 2 in Busan. I didn't take the train So, train to Busan. I went to Busan, South Korea. Nandun yung Pori 2 nuclear plant. Nakita ko yung planta. Umaandar. Halos napayak ako, pero halos papayak talaga ako na hindi umaandar yung planta. Ang problema kasi, yung plant, hindi pala problema, the plant is beside other, they have now 26 nuclear plants. You drive almost 1 hour, magkabila, manufacturing plants. Hyundai is there because electricity is cheap. That is what we lost in the Philippines when we didn't run the Bataan nuclear plant. Who will invest here? Magpapaksili ka. Saan mo kukunin yung power niyan? Pwede ba yan mag-solar? Ngayon, umuulan? Ha? Bagyo. I mean, so ito yung mga problema ng kung wala tayong power, wala tayong tubig, ba't ka pa magpapaksili ka? At saka ganito I was involved in the nickel. We are the number 2 supplier of nickel in the world for steel manufacturing. Kasi when you manufacture steel, you need iron, nickel, and chrome. The biggest manufacturer is China. Wala silang nickel and chrome. That's why they import from Indonesia and from us. But we export our ore raw, 1 to 2%. Pagkakuha sa bundok, lagay sa bangko, diretso ng China. Bakit? Kasi mahal ang kuryente dito. We could process that here if we had cheap electricity. Another reason to go nuclear. Tapos, hindi lang yan. Yung mga ina-export nating nickel ores, ginawa namin sa Nixon. Ano pa kaya ang laman yan? Kasi ang binabayad lang sa atin ay nickel. Oh my God. Oh my God. What we discovered. It has cobalt, 0.2%. It has scandium. It has rare earth elements. And we were giving it away for free. Anak ng... So, ganyan talaga. So, yan ang kailangan. Ay, nakakainis. Talagang nakaka-irita. Nakaka-rindig. Ha?
Doon po sa usapin na pag-activate nung BNPP. Kasi parang siguro may dalawang follow-up question ako doon. Una, siguro may mga contentions din pagdating sa geologic hazards. Like yung Lubao Fault. And then yung Mount Native na possibly active. And then second po na question ay may enough trained scientists and technicians po ba tayo sa Pilipinas to operate a nuclear power plant?
Okay, isa-isahin natin. Okay? Ganito kasi yan Nung hinito natin ng PNPP, 1 year after, ang daming brownouts because it was designed to replace the aging thermal plants. Di ka pa buhay yata nung late 80s.
Hindi pa
10-hour brownouts. 11-hour brownouts sa Manila. A city of 10 million, 10-hour brownouts. Okay. Sino ba ang Secretary ng Energy ni Cory Aquino? Si Aboitiz. Ang tawag nga sa kanya noon, Prince of Darkness kasi mga brownouts. Sino ngayon ang pinakamayaman? Ang yaman-yaman na ng Aboitiz. I mean, wala naman. They're good company. Pero, I mean, sila talagang may hawak ng maraming power sources ngayon. Okay. Pero, usahin natin, meron bang fault doon sa BNPP? Okay? When I came back from the States, I could not believe that they would build a nuclear plant without checking kung may fault sa ilalim. Diba? Because it's costing more than $1 billion. How much is it to... So, may geologic studies na ginawa dyan. Okay? So, in-ignore yan. But, I did my own independent study. I paid for it. Ang ginawa ko, may planta ka, I surrounded it with resistivity, seismic, and then radon. Radon is important kasi if there's a fault like that, radon gas will emit and then you can trace the fault kahit na semento na. I did radon gas studies. I did seismic studies. Namatay na nga yung kasama namin. And then I did resistivity studies. All 3 studies show no fault in the plant. Kasi kung may fault ka beside that, anong tawag yan? That will depend on the design. At saka, you're a geologist. A fault must have a superficial manifestation. Where is it? Si Mahar may pinakita siyang fault nandun sa kabila, ibang orientation. Tsaka in-extend niya nga yung paper niya from Lubao and doon. So anyway, let's look at the evidence. No personalities. Mahar is a good friend of mine. And then we are publishing a paper on our findings with this Balik scientist. Now, yung Mount Native naman, sabi daw, it was built on a volcano. It's true that the plant is built on the lahar flows from Mount Native. But is the Native volcano active or not? the only evidence, may carbon-14 dates dati mga 60,000 years. But we have new studies now, argon dates done in the US, million years. And then secondly, we instrumented the volcanoes. We put seismic sensors around it to see if there are seismic activities beneath the plant for more than 1 year. We're publishing the paper now, 0 seismic activity, so that volcano is dead. So the reason that ang ginawa pang dahilan, geology Ha? Ayaw nilang aminin na political ang problema. That the fault and then the earthquakes are the most egregious fake news imposed on the Filipino people for the past 40 years. Our papers will come out. Kung may ebidensya kayo, let the evidence. Si Kelvin, inaatake ako palagi, Kelvin Rodolfo, doon sa Rappler. Mga 10 articles na yata siya. Hindi ko na lang sinasagot. Ang tanong ko na lang diyan, ebidensya. Kunin yung mga geologists, kayo ang humusga doon sa ebidensya. Kasi sinungalingan yan Sayang yung 2 billion asset na makakatulong sa atin. Ano bang ipapalit ninyo kung hindi yan, di ba? Anyway, as I said, the papers will come out soon. Tapos if you run the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant, it will be the cheapest source of electricity as compared to energy. Kaya nga may kinakabahan ng mga oligarchs na nagsusupply ng electricity. Kahit na 600 megawatts lang yan. Yan talaga ang dahilan kung bakit ayaw paandarin yan. Anyway, masasabihin pa ako sa cost ng electricity. Kasi,
go pa.
kasi ang mahal kasi ng kuryente. Obvious yan. Yung aking labandera, one time nangutang ng pera kasi naputulan siya ng kuryente. May narinig ako yung isang pensioner, retiree, yung kanyang palit yung cheque niya, inintrega na lang yung cheque doon sa electric company. The median Filipino family pays 10% of take-home pay for electricity. We should not look at electricity cost at a kilowatt per hour. Kasi kung mayaman ka, like in Japan, baliwala lang yan. What percent of your income are you paying for your electricity? Huwag mo nang sagutin. Kasi alam ko less than 1%. Dito actually, talaga, pag dumating dito yung electric bill, nangangatog yung tuhod ng mga tao Diba? Tapos alam mo ba, nag-survey si DOE noong 2018 about nuclear power. Na-shock sila kasi 80% of the people favor nuclear. 79 to 80%. Wow, bakit? Hindi nilabas yung survey results. Then inulit nila yan 2 years ago. Same result, 10,000 respondents. Credible yung 79%. So, nakagulat ako. Bakit kaya gusto ng mga Pinoy ng nuclear? Meron. Ang problema kasi ng nuclear is perception. Kasi, tingnan mo yung Hollywood movies. Lahat ng mga Hollywood movies sa mga bad guys ay nuclear. Andan sa Mission Impossible, may nuclear ka dyan. So, pag sinasabing nuclear, ang nasa isip ng tao ay bomba. Kung bomba ang iniisip ng tao, bakit 80% ng mga Pinoy pabor sa nuclear? Because of the high cost. Pero meron pang other explanation. Kasama ka dyan sa explanation ko. Kasi ikaw nasa Japan ka. May earthquake dyan. May earthquake pala nangyari sa inyo, di ba? May vulkan dyan. Pero takot ba yung mga tao? Pinapasarapan nila yung nuclear plants? Hindi. Okay? Kasi yung mga kasamahan natin nasa France, all over the world, may nuclear plants. Tapos, available yung kuryente, mura pa. Pag uwi nila sa Pilipinas, brown out, tapos ang mahal pa. So, that is the reason why 80% of the population is
Pero
for
dito
nuclear.
kasi sa Japan, sir, ang ganda na rin ng seismic infrastructure nila well monitored yung Japan in terms of madami silang seismic and geodetic stations siguro nakakadagdag din yun sa confidence ng mga tao.
Yeah, but I know, but that can only add a few minutes at most kung may warnings ka, whatever it is, di ba? It will not, it will not stop at 9.
Yes po.
It will help. Ang ko lang, alisin na natin yung, kaya nga sabi, mas sinangayang si bossing mo dati, kasi kaibigan ni Kelvin Rodolfo Anyway, ayun, wala namang personalan na lang. Pero yun, at saka sinamahar. Ang tanong ko lang yan, tingnan natin yung evidence, okay? Look at the evidence. And then show it to me. And then, but just don't say it's this or is that. In Japan, I know the seismic networks are there, fantastic, but you can still prevent the earthquakes. But you still don't stop the nuclear power plants. Actually, I'll give you one example. In Fukushima, there are about dalawang plants yan, yung nandun sa baba. Pero may Fukushima na nasa taas, may 4 na higher elevation. Were not destroyed by the earthquake nor the tsunami. But they cannot restart it because of the stigma. Nakalimutan ko ng pangalan ng, you can find out what that is. So the big problem, kaya tama itong ginagawa mo, is podcast to inform our people. Kasi ang daming kalokohan talaga, ang daming falsehoods. Huwag kayong maniwala, find out for yourself. Kung totoo, hindi. Tanungin niyo yung mga relatives nyo sa abroad na may nuclear. Ikaw ba'y, ay naku, ang daming mga relatives natin. 10% of our population are abroad, including you. Ha? So, ayun.
Regarding po pala dun sa yung second question na may enough scientists and technicians po ba tayo sa Pilipinas to operate a nuclear power plant?
Okay. My answer to that is this. What you need first is our regulator. Kasi walang regulator, safety. Okay. Do we have enough scientists? We sent many scientists, engineers, in the 1980s to run the Bataan nuclear plant, the best and the brightest. Nung kinancel ni Cory Aquino yung nuclear plant, sabi nilang nasa Amerika, ba't pa ko uuwi nang wala akong tatabuhan? So they remain in the US. Yung mga taong yun, pa-retire na, nag-retire na. Sumusulat yung iba sa akin, I have made my money. I can help the Philippines to come back. I can give example. Art Manuel Arcila, kapangalan ko. Marami sila. Si Art worked with 8 nuclear power plants. So marami yan, babalik pagbabayaran mo lang. Secondly, very important. Sabi ni South Korea, if you want to train nuclear plants, we have a working model. Ipadala nyo South Korea to train them. Or if KHNP, the Korean company, runs it, they can train in their exact model in South Korea. And third, answer to your question, UAE has 4 brand new nuclear plants. 1,400, the biggest nuclear plants, I think it's some of the biggest, maybe France is bigger, but built by South Korea. I talked to the regulator of the nuclear plants in the UAE. He's a Swedish guy. He told me thousands of Filipino engineers were involved in the construction of the nuclear plant. Now na nag-operate, hundreds of Filipino engineers are employed in the nuclear plant. So if we buksan natin ng BNPP or have say, okay, mga kababayan, balik kayo rito, tatapatan namin yung sweldo nyo, dito pa kayo sa Pilipinas. Pustahan tayo kung di umuwi yung mga yan. Eh may gira pa sa kanila. So yan yung mga, yeah. At saka ganito, it's easy to nuclearize engineers. Kasi in a power plant, in nuclear power plant, only 20% is the nuclear island. The rest are typical power plants na marami tayong magagaling. Eh ako nga geologist, naging head ng PNRI na nag-aaral I can talk about nuclear, I suppose, right? I can debate with anybody dito kung nuclear mag-usap. Kasi nag-aaral ako Kung kaya kong pag-aralan, kaya ng maraming engineers. We don't look down on our engineers to look at especially mga electrical engineers. At saka, magbubukas na ng engineering. Si Mapua, si Lasal. Ang UP, merong engineering program. Pinatay nila nuclear engineering kasi wala nang ang PNPP. Saka matagal mag-offer ng course ang UP pero mauunahan na sila ni Lasal, Mapua, and some other schools.
In addition po sa BNPP, may other plans ba na mag-establish ng other nuclear power plants in other sites in the Philippines?
Of course, it's the private sector that will drive it, not the government. I can give you 3 sites. GN Power wants to build one in Masbate. Okay? GN Power is, they built coal plants, the biggest and the best coal plants silang gumawa. So they want to build one in Masbate. Marco Wangco wants to build one to several plants in Pangasinan. So marami talaga pag magkaroon lang ng regulator. May mga sites na yan, pinag-aaralan na rin yan. Meron, maganda pa rin. Ang one credit sa DOE, especially with Secretary Garin, who does not like me. Anyway, but to her credit, she made the nuclear energy program into agency committee work. So meron yan yung 19 milestones ng IAEA, citing yung mga their committee, whole government works, marami silang output. I can tell you that, including citing. So there are, tapos ang involved doon, hindi kami involved sa UP, but MGB is there, PBOX is there, Pag-asa is there, PNRI is there. So maraming geologists na involved sila.
So medyo matagal-tagal na rin po yung discussion natin. Almost 1 hour na rin tayo. And siguro sir, before tayo pumunta dun sa ending segment natin, hindi pala final question. Do you think po ba ready yung Philippines for nuclear energy? And sa tingin nyo po ngayon, ano pa yung mga aspects na pwede pang i-improve para masabi na 100% ready ang Pilipinas?
Okay. No, I think we're ready. More than ready, we need it. They say need is the mother of invention. But I will not advocate nuclear power unless the independent regulators are appointed. The Director General of Philatom. Kasi sila ang magagaranti sa mga taong bayan na safe. Kasi ganito yan, they will issue the license to construct and then the license to operate. Kung walang regulator na maayos, forget it. Kasi silang magagaranti. Di pwedeng
So yung
yan.
Philatom po, separate entity siya sa PNRI?
Yes, separate yan. Tapos cabinet level yung head niyan. So under the administrative office of the president, pero independent body yan. Yan ang number 1 na kailangan gawin. Okay? Kasi siya ang magsasabi, gagawa kami ng nuclear plant dito. Checkin, tama ba yan? May fault ba yan? Ganyan. Kasi yung license to construct, maraming yan, checkin. So yan ang number 1. Pag magawa mo lang yan, ang dami nating engineers kasi kung magpapatakbo ka lang, bigyan mo lang maayos sa sweldo. Yan sinabi ko, nagulat talaga ako doon sa UAE. Hundreds of engineers, Filipino engineers are working in their nuclear plants. And they're easily trainable. Ang gagaling naman ng mga engineers natin Di ba? Yung mga DPWH, ewan ko, bihira lang yun. Kasi nasa abroad sila. Ang problema, sinisiraan nila yung reputation ng napakagalawing magagaling na mga engineers. Hindi, pag umuwi ako from abroad, kasi I go to the Vienna 3 times a year because of the IAEA. Marami kang kababayan, mga seamen, mga engineers. I'm so proud of them. Kasi ang galing nila sa ibang bansa Pagdating sa Pilipinas, minsan nagiging pasaway. Pero, I mean, it's a slur. It's an insult to say that Filipino engineers cannot handle nuclear. Ang dali lang, para ka napapakulo lang ng tubig dyan Pero medyo, the nuclear has about 70 years. Di ko pa nga sinasabi, yung nuclear submarines, yan ang unang reactors mo.
Nakalimutan ko pala itanong kanina, sir. Yung BNPP, despite its age na 40 years, safe pa rin ba siya na i-operate?
Okay. Alright.
I-operate kung sakali?
Ang sagot dyan, ganyan. Yung kasing age niyang nuclear plant, tumatakbo ba? Slovenia, South Korea, Brazil, all 3 plants are working perfectly. Of course, they have had upgrades. And they're being licensed for another 20 years. That's the answer to the question. I had a South African nuclear regulator visit BNPP. When he saw the plant, nagmura pa siya What? Sabi niya, why isn't this plant running? My plants in South Africa are in a worse condition than this one. For those na may duda, I invite you to visit the BNPP. Huwag kayong maniwala kay Kelvin Rodolfo na sa ganyan, Kaibigan ko din yan. pero marami siyang sinasabing mga kasinungalingan. Bisitahin niyo mismo, see for yourselves. So, and then I'm praying for the guy. He's old. I mean, he's a dear friend. But ideology na yun sa kanya, hindi na science. So kung ayaw maniwala, find out for yourselves. Organize field trips. Write to me and I'll help you, ask permission to visit it. Binayaran natin yung plantang yan. At saka ngayon, by the way, merong mga reactors na if they're done, will be meltdown proof. Ang tawag yan mga TRISO reactors. Kasi, ganito kasi yan yung mga nuclear plants ngayon, 90%, ang protection niya, yung water, tapos gagawa ka ng containment structure, yung parang itlog. The cost of the containment structure reaches up to about 50% of the cost. Sabi ng iba, why don't you protect the fuel itself? Wrap it with silicon carbide so that it releases the heat but not the radionuclides. And then you're able to have power without the containment structure. Ang tawag doon, TRISO reactors. Si China meron ng isang tumatakbo, ninako nila yung design from South Africa, Germany. Sa Philippines, America just had 5 reactors just last month, July, na prototypes. One of them will be built in the Philippines, Valor Atomics, dito sa PNRI. Pag nagawa kasi yan, you can build these reactors, maliliit yan, 30 megawatts. Pwede mong ilagay kahit sa tabi ng bahay mo. Yan ang pwede mag-power ng PAC Silica, pwede mag-power ng malalayong mina, yung mga islang wala sa grid na napakahal ng kuryente, Catanduanes. Ang ganyan klase. Ang tawag diyan, small modular nuclear TRISO reactor. Yan talaga, I will bet na yan ang future. Isang usapin yan, kung pag-uusapan para maintindihan kung paano yan.
Ayun, so I hope madami tayong natutunan ngayon sa nuclear energy, and I think hopefully may mga bagay na nalinaw sa atin sa mga misconceptions na nakikita natin online or whatever. Hopefully na linawan tayo with Doc Kaloy Arcilla sa discussion today. And before we let you go, sir, ano po ang mga bibigay niyong advice sa mga aspiring researchers?
Okay. My first thing is be committed to the truth. Because truth shall set you free. Okay? And I also would advise, the one that helps you keep the truth is religion. I'm not ashamed to say I'm an ardent Catholic because that God is the origin of the universe and all of the truth. So, because it's like this, if you don't value the truth, pwede kang malagayan. So that's the most important. Build up your integrity. Kasi ang hirap. There will be temptations. And then number 2, never give up your curiosity. I am 65 years old. Oh my God, I am so enthralled by new ideas. Sa lab ko, ang dami namin ginagawa. I'm so happy. For example, I'm able to talk about nuclear medicine. By the way, my last project, when I was at PNRI, is to lower the cost of cancer diagnosis. Kasi ang mahal is the number 2 killer in the Philippines now, cancer, because the diagnosis comes late. And then we have a project to lower the cost of cancer diagnosis. I couldn't talk about it, pero yeah. So maintain competence, integrity, curiosity. Okay, and don't be an asshole. Okay. Treat your friends well. Treat your family well. And then lastly, by the way, I'm producing natural alkaline water from my research, the only natural alkaline water, as a product of my nuclear research. Ang brand niya, Alkaloy.
Ay, nabanggit nga yan, sir, sa akin ni Jam.
Makikita niya na, medyo mahal siya kasi medyo special, pero tawag dyan, makikita niya na yan. Ayaw pa na magdala dito. Kalimutan ko magdala ng sample dito. Parang.
Ano po yung special dun sa formulation ng tubig?
Actually, in the formulation, kasi when we were doing, we discovered it kasi I told you about bentonite, diba? So I was looking for bentonite deposits to test the reaction. Kasi ganito yan, just a few minutes na lang. Kasi if you're going to bury the nuclear waste very deep, gagamit ka ng concrete, right? Konkreto. Tunnels mo. But when groundwater reacts with concrete, you form alkaline liquids. So sabi ng regulators, if the alkaline liquids interact with the bentonite, it might destroy its buffering capacity. Sabi nila, what will happen to bentonite in 10,000 years? No? Can it still retain its buffering or its shielding capacity? Now, how can you construct a 10,000-year experiment? So what you do is go to nature, look at bentonite deposits, and then if you're lucky, you can find a naturally occurring alkaline spring flowing over the bentonite. This is called a natural analog, and you can see the reactions that have been there for thousands of years. So I looked for those kind funded by the Swiss and the Japanese, and I discovered several sites. And one of them in Tarlac, fantastic site, may bentonite ka, and then the water goes through that and zeolite, so it's very clean, and it's pH 9. So we've studied that. It's the most studied water in the Philippines. We know the age, 3,000 years old. Tapos it's fantastic to drink. Sabi ko, sayang naman to. Kung
So
hindi to,
iba yung lasa niya sa normal na tubig.
ay manamis-namis. I mean, it's actually, it's the best water you can drink. I mean, now ako may hyperacidity ka. Kaya nga, I decided to bottle it. I mean, yun. Ang hirap lang, ang daming requirements ng FDA. Tapos, nung dinesign namin yung bottle, dahil scientist ang gawa, ang pangit ng design. So, until someone got it, tapos ang ganda na ng design ngayon, natural alkaline, tapos yung brand nga Alkaloy. So yun lang. So, yeah, medyo natagalan yung usapin natin. But thank you for opening this business. And then, if people want to ask me, they can email me, kaloy.arcili@gmail.com. And ipagdasal natin ang bansa natin. And we need integral, honest, competent people and scientists eager for the truth. The truth shall set you free. Okay, that's the most important message that I'll have.
And then last question po, sir. In addition po sa nuclear and alkaloy, do you have anything else to promote?
Of course, I'm involved in sa nuclear medicine. I want to lower the cost of cancer diagnosis. That's one of sana matapos yung project namin. But one thing I'd like to promote among students, especially, is to improve their readings and to take care of their spiritual and mental health. It's very important kasi I was in the board of trustees of Philippine Science High School. And then we see a lot of this, especially among bright people. Sayang if you don't take care of yourself, especially mentally and spiritually, problems come in life. And how do you cope with it? So that's the most important. And it affects many things. So, I mean, as I said, I am not ashamed to say that I take my religion seriously as a Catholic, and it has helped me, and I hope it helps you too because it helps me keep objectivity. That's the most important thing.
So I guess hanggang dito lang muna tayo. Maraming salamat kay Doc Kaloy sa pag-share ng kanyang expertise dito sa podcast. At maraming salamat sa lahat ng nakinig at nanood. See you everyone next week. Madami pa tayong pag-uusapan na research na ginagawa ng ating mga Pinoy scientists.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.